Every 2 years, the cosmic lovers Venus and Mars meet together in the sky in a conjunction. And we're having that conjunction on February 22nd, 2024, in the sign of Aquarius, where we have Pluto hanging out, as he's going to be doing for the next 20 years. But it's so powerful because of Pluto being there. You see, the last time Mars and Venus got together in the sky in a conjunction in March of 2022 in the sign of Aquarius, Pluto was not there. He was still finishing up business in Capricorn. So this has got a whole quality, an essential tonal quality, completely different from the experience that we've had before when Venus and Mars are co-joined in this sign. So we're going to go into a deep dive into this. We're going to talk about what it means that they co-joined there in 2022 at 0 degrees of Aquarius, what it means now that they're co-joining together at 6 degrees of Aquarius, talk about the Sabian symbol, which speaks to renewal and rebirth and regeneration, but also understand that this is a larger synodic cycle. And I want you to get a pen or a paper or a cup of coffee or a tea. I'm going to give you some future dates that go over the next 2 years until the next joining of these two planets together. And that will mean that you can use this material today to track your love and money and passion and love and hate and jealousy stories as they go through your sky over the next 2 years. So basically, the next time we see Venus and Mars hugging each other in a tight embrace of a conjunction, it will be January the 8th of 2026, and that will happen at the 18th degree of Capricorn, which is an entirely different story, isn't it, than the Aquarius part of our sky collectively and individually. We're going to talk about this for world events briefly, maybe for 5-10 minutes. Then we're going to move into an overview of the Sabian symbol. We're going to talk a little bit about the archetypal energies of what happens when Venus gets together with Mars. Got a couple of great Katharine Hepburn quotes for you. And then we're going to delineate the all signs. Please listen for your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, sun, career and purpose, father figures, moon, the body, things to do with your home and safety needs. And the rising sign is all about you. Hey, by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. I am Lori Lothian. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Give me a try, hit that like button, subscribe. And for all my regulars, welcome back. I do put out about 30 to 40 videos every month. I use all signs for every single video, so you can apply the sky wisdom to your own life. Please use whole sign houses, which most astrologers are assuming as a delineation tool, using general bell curve astrology here on YouTube. If you don't know how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, or you're seeking to know what your rising sign is, there is a link in my description box below under the More button with a free video tutorial about 5 minutes long teaching you how to find your rising sign and how to use the whole sign house system using free online software. Okay, so let's get rolling. Yeah, and by the way, I am using a lot of minor asteroids and fixed stars when I do astrology because I love them. There's the ancient tools of fixed stars and the more modern developments of small minor bodies called the asteroids and the trans-Neptunian. So you get a lot of different stuff here, not just plain old, planetary solar system astrology. Okay, let's talk about the sky. First of all, I have a really good feeling about this. I don't mind Pluto here powering up Venus and Mars together. Mars is war, Venus is peace. Mars separates, Venus unites. Hate is Mars and love is Venus. Now, the two are in a hard aspect, the conjunction. In a sense, it's like they're trying to become one. They're trying to fuse into one. I have some really interesting quotes that align with this energy of the two polar energies wanting to become one. But don't forget, Mars or Aries and Venus or Aphrodite were cosmic lovers. They had a massively intense secret love affair behind the husband of Venus, Hephaestus. So there is a sense where we see these two coming together. It is always about a love story. And I want you to go back in time. I want you to really just generate a memory here of what was happening in your love and romance stories. And I'm going to give you some dates. So I want you to go back to March of 2020, March 6th of 2022, when these two planets joined at 0 degrees of Aquarius, because that initiated a love cycle that lasted until this February 22nd. And there were critical turning points in that love cycle that I'm about to give you. So get a pen so you can look backward over time to see how this worked in your love and maybe money stories and friendships as as well. These are areas that Venus is in charge of, where Mars is endings and separations and changes of direction and cutting, but passion and direct and ardor and will. So there's a lot of stuff we can see when we watch the planets of Mars and Venus come into the angles of a conjunction, a first quarter square, an opposition, and a last quarter square. And that journey takes about 2 years. So we'll give you the dates for the past and what the next 2-year cycle is and the dates for that as well. In essence, Venus doing her every 2-year joining with the planet Mars moves through other signs than Aquarius. I get that you suspect it's all about Aquarius, but it's not. If you want to go back to August 4th of 2019, they co-joined in Virgo. If you want to go back to 2000 and what's another date? 2021, the month of July, they co-joined at 19 degrees of Leo. Therefore, Virgo folks and Leo folks were in a big love story energy for those 2 years, that followed. And then, of course, in February of 2022, because there was a retrograde of Venus, there was a conjunction between Mars and Venus at 16 degrees of Cap in February of 2022, Capricorn. So I would say that Capricorns have been feeling the energy too of this last couple of years, as well as Aquarians, because then on March 6th, because of retrogradation, Venus moving direct came into contact with Mars at 0 Aquarius. 0 Aquarius is a very hot piece of real estate celestially. It has a fixed star Altair. Altair is war. It's winning and playing to win at all costs. It's the eye of the eagle and the constellation Aquila the eagle. And in ancient times, it was used as a military star to decide when to do military actions, when would be auspicious to go to war and to not go to war. Now, you might remember that in 2022, when this conjunction happened at 0 Aquarius, which is a hot spot, also because Saturn and Jupiter co-joined there in the winter solstice of 2020, giving us an initiation of 20 years of things to do with the air element. But what I would like to say is that we have had war in the window of time, February, March of 2022, through till February 2024. The Ukraine war. And of course, the Middle Eastern war. Why? Mars is the god of war. Venus is the goddess of love. But this is when you put them together, it's hot, cold, it's ice and fire. It's a really hard merger, and it set us in motion with Aquila, the eye of the eagle, into a 2-year war cycle. Now, the nation of Israel is Venus ruled. The ascendant is Venus ruled. Putin is got a scorpionic ascendant, and he went to war with Ukraine. So Mars ruled countries and leaders, which is Putin, Scorpio rising, or nations ruled by Venus, Israel, Libra rising, have been at war. Okay, United States is a Jupiter ruled planet, rising sign Sag. Joe Biden is Sagittarius. So we didn't see the United States in a declarative war, although we could argue the United States engaged in a proxy war against Russia through Ukraine. God forbid you said proxy war when the war broke out, and now everyone calls it a proxy war. I thought I was saying that word back then. Now, it's very likely the war in Ukraine will end, by the way, just because the synodic cycle has ended, but also for other reasons in the sky that I can't share with you now. So now we have this synodic cycle behind you. Go back. And I want you to think about the vibe here. 0 degrees of Aquarius, March the 6th, 2022. And now until this time, here are the critical turning points: love, money, friendship, passions, desires, things to do with the Venus-Mars narrative. Are going to give you some dates for that. Now, let me grab my little schedule that I wrote down. Here we have it. So Venus can engage in flow to Mars, or she can engage in hard angles like squares and oppositions, right? So when we had that March 6, 2022 conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, the first and next aspect she makes is August the 3rd of 2022, when she came into a sextile to Mars. Mars was moving through Taurus, a place of debility, not as happy place, but it is Venus's house. She's sitting in her exaltation in Pisces. What was happening in your love or maybe money stories, in our friendship stories, August 3rd of 2022, that was seemingly positive. I'm going to use me as an example. I'm not a narcissist, but trust me, I've been with them though, because I can use me as an example because I know myself the best. I got involved in a failed romance, right? Summer of 2022, a widower. My best friend of 40 years, husband, was making the moves on me, and I got pulled into this relationship in that summertime. July, August, September of 2022. It wasn't a long romance. It was just kind of an early dating. We were geographically separated, really, but it was going to not work because Mars instability in Taurus, right? That's already like a non-starter. So did you almost get something going? Venus exalted, thinks she knows everything, woohoo, and Mars is like, I'm doing your bidding because I'm in your house, but hey, it may not be so good because I really am trying to get my mani-pedi here, says Mars in Taurus, in the spa salon with the gals, and he really just wants to go to war. So you could say there's just something not right about that story then. And then when we come into September 16th of 2022, Venus gets into a hard aspect called a square, which is challenging to Mars. Now, Mars is in Gemini for a long time. Mars has moved into Gemini by September 16th, 2022. It will not leave Gemini, like seriously, all the way through to the spring, like March of 2023. So we see this Gemini placement for Mars. He's neither strong nor weak there. Right? Mars is fickle, back and forth, it's communication. Gemini, but Gemini is one part of your sky. For me, as an Aquarius rising, it's my house of romantic love. So here's what Mars is sitting for all of those months. And here's what happens. You go back and think about it. Square, it's a test. It's a push for something. It's a shove by Venus and Virgo in the sign of her detriment. She is fallen here, the opposite of her exaltation in Pisces, and she shoves Mars in Gemini. That was when I ended that non-starter relationship with the person that started in the summer with the sextile. Then we move into October the 19th. She flows in a beautiful trine from her own home kingdom of Libra, where she's very strong, to Mars in Gemini still, of course. And I end up getting booked to have a reading with a client who I had an attraction to. And so he would have booked that reading just around that time in late September, early October. And so he's on my books, and I met him in a Zoom call in November. And that's the guy I'm with right now. So Venus brought in from her lordship a new relationship. Now, for me, it's very relationship because Mars is moving through the romance house. For each of you, it can be about friendships. It can be about, money stories, right? But go back that are going through these ups and downs. All right. Then in December 1st of 2022, she opposes Mars. Now there's tension. There's a tug of war from Sag, which is adventure, travel, etc. Mars still, of course, in Gemini. December 1st of 2022, this fella who had a call with me got in touch and said he's going to be in town in January. Would I like to get together? So there's like, even though it's a tense aspect, that story took another turn, right? Venus and Gemini is adventurous and in Sag, and Sag is travel, and especially air travel. So there's a story going on here. What was happening with you, though, December 1st, 2022, where you may have come into some conflict or tension regarding a love or money story. Then on January, relative to at that time, your Sag and your Gemini quarter of your chart axes. Then we move into January the 9th, 2023. Venus is now in a trine, a flowing angle to Mars. And that was when he came to Canada, and we met and had dinner and spent 3 days together. So now we have the love flow, Venus in Aquarius. I'm Aquarius rising, trining Mars in Gemini, house of romantic love for me. So that was the beginning of the relationship. Now, all of you can contextualize the ebbs and flows of this narrative. Right. So just think about your own lives. What kinds of things were happening with love, money, friends, friendship, those stories. Maybe art projects if you're an artist. And then on February the 5th, 2023, Venus, in her exaltation, in her superpowered strength, squares Mars in Gemini yet again. And that March 11th square, right, can look like many different things. It can look like passion, heat. Oh, sorry, did I say March 11th? Sorry, February the 5th. And February the 5th, 2023, Venus squares Mars. Now, in my story, I do think that the guy got involved with, ex-girlfriend got in touch with him and said, I'll come back. I changed my mind. So that was a tension point in the relationship with me and this new fella, right? And then finally, of course, he said no. And then on March the 11th, 2023, Venus in Aries, yes, a sign of detriment, became sextile to Mars, still in Gemini. Something soft and nice was trying to happen. Oh, Venus is very bossy and commanding here. March 11th, 2023. My memory is roughly that's the time where he booked a ticket, or we made the agreement for him to come spend some time with me in Canada, and let's get to know each other. So that's just an example. I'm using me so you can see how the synodic cycle really does work. All right. And now I'm going to read to you the next cycle. But before I do, because this is what's going to happen for you in the next 2 years. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you about this deeper archetypal meanings of the Sabian symbol of 7 degrees on the sign of Aquarius, where these two are joining, 6 degrees in some minutes, but in Sabian you round up. And Aquarius 7 is a child born of an eggshell. Now, don't forget, shell. Venus was born of a clamshell, right? So there you go. And there's the theme of creative self-renewal. Now, Venus does rule creativity, performance, beauty, cosmetics, the arts, fashion, love, nurses and nursing, friendliness, friendships, sisters and sisterhoods. So keep those Venus themes in mind when you're looking at the stories with Mars, right? Some of you may look at the dates I gave you and go, oh, that was all the conflict with a sibling or a sister. And she says here, the symbol speaks to new beginnings. The image of a child born of an eggshell is symbolizing rebirth or creating oneself anew. So it's all about the idea of a rebirth that each of us is capable of creating in our own lives. And of course, when any two planets come together, it's like a new moon. So this cazimi or conjunction is a new beginning in the narrative of 2 years with love and money stories and other Venusian stories in each of our lives. So the opportunity this can give us is refusing to accept limitations and viewing each day as a new beginning with its own special promise. Keywords are creation, rebirth, new beginnings, self-realization, self-renewal, resourcefulness, individualism, infinite regression, or progression. And don't burn bridges behind you when you decide to make a change, and move on to something new. There's a Sabian symbol. Elsie Willer channeled those. Now, good old Renn Butler's essential book for every astrologer or wannabe, amazing teacher friend of mine, The Archetypal Universe. Had information on the book in my description box. The archetypes of a planet are amazing, right? You have to understand that they embody energies beyond the personal. They're templates for reality. And so when you want to blend together, right, Venus and Pluto and Mars in one like combo, because they're all sitting together in Aquarius, and you mash those two up. Here's a little paragraph he has. A hot-blooded primal nature, a potential for profound romantic and sexual healing, ongoing efforts to balance one's yin and yang energies, right? Masculine, feminine, hot and cold, dynamic creative work, a tendency toward obsessive attractions, an overly brutally or domineering approach to sex or relationships, romantic and sexual power trips, personal themes contaminating this, perinatal themes before you're born, contaminating the sexual experience. So he's got the archetypes of the dark and the light. Now, I love some of the quotes because he's got some great ones here. So here is a quote coming from Katharine Hepburn, who was born with a Venus-Mars square, the difficult aspect. And she says, marriage is a series of desperate arguments people feel passionately about. I love that. That's what a Venus square Mars is. It's love is hard, but I'm going to endure. So another quote we have here is all about what is most beautiful in virile men is something feminine, and what is most beautiful in feminine women is something masculine. Again, the yin yang, or the, what do you call that symbol? Oh, yeah, well, the one with the white dot in the black fishy and the vice versa. Oh my God, my brain, you know what I mean, right? All right. And dark sides, it can be because it's a hard aspect, more of the shadow quality, but it's also a new beginning and a rebirth. And I don't really see the hard aspects like a square or opposition. I see it as a generation or birth or a seed of something new, just as is a new moon. But if you were looking at the dark side, we're talking about the sharp edge of love, love quarrels, conflicts in love, love and hate, trying to balance love and hate. There's a great Katharine Hepburn quote that's not in Renn Butler's book. And I'm going to read it to you because I think it really says a lot about this vibe that I'm trying to describe. Oh, please tell me I saved the quote. I'm looking for it on the back end. Then I'm going to show you the chart and then we're going to do all signs. Oh, no, I don't think I saved it. Darn it. It's something like, nice women have no fun and bad women have all the fun, go everywhere. Someone will probably be able to put that quote in my comments, right? But it's something like nice women have no fun and, bad women get to go everywhere. All right. So, because I mean, Mars with Venus is the Venus energy being infused with the masculine, right? So the bad girl energy or the masculine feminine. Finally. Before I do the sky, please get a pen or paper. I want to tell you this new beginning at 6 degrees of Aquarius will impact the Aquarians, obviously, the Leos, obviously, right? You guys are on the axis of conjunction or oppositional energy to this, very important for you, as well as the other angles. These are fixed sign angles, right, of Taurus and Scorpio. So Taurus and Scorpio and Leo and Aquarius have been under a huge amount of energy for the last 2 years, and they get another 2 years about the love story energy of Venus and Mars. So we Aquarians are really on Leos, Scorpios, and Taurus as well. These are angular, square, or opposite this conjunction. Obviously, if your sun, moon, or rising is in Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, and it's, let's say, in the first 10 degrees of the signs that I mentioned, then this is also an acute and intense energy. But trust me, my ascendant is at 18 degrees of Aquarius. And I sure did feel the 0-degree Aquarius one 2 years ago. So the conjunction happens on December the 12th. The square, where it gets really challenging again, is going to be July the 23rd, 2025. Buckle up, right? Buckle up. And because of a retrogradation of Mars in Leo Cancer for a long time, we only have the conjunction of December 12th, 2024, seeding the new. And did I say December 12th, 2024? I'm sorry. We have the conjunction of February of 2022 starting the narrative. And now we're going to talk about the longer arc of the squares and opposition. So let me give you those dates. I just jumped too far ahead on you. So let's get this right. It's going to be on August the 23rd, 2024, that you have the first square or the opening square or challenge to the love and money themes that have been emerging from the February 22nd conjunction. So everyone look for that August of 2024 to be a turning point. Squares don't mean it's always bad. It just means it's in a element of critical juncture, pivot point, change, new directions, testing 1, 2, 1, 2. So everyone get ready then for that conjunction that's happening on, I'll double check the date. She's squinting into the camera. Yeah, alrighty. Oh my God, my brain. Yes. So Venus will be in the sign of Virgo, squaring Mars in Gemini. That's her detriment. So that makes it a difficult. She's in a sign of her fall. Did I say Mars in Gemini? Yeah. Mars is back in Gemini. And so that angle of your chart, the Virgo and Gemini part of your sky, depending on your sign, is having a test of some new beginning that started this February. Now, I'm going to focus on the opposition, the next testing point, December the 12th, 2024. Venus will oppose Mars from Aquarius, and Mars will be sitting in the sign of Leo, so that he'll be there for a long time because of retrogradation. So there's something going on December 12th, 2024 with a testing 1, 2 or critical turning point in love, money, and friendships and art and all the Venus stories. And then we move into the next story, which is the square of July the 23rd, 2025, testing 1, 2, Venus neutrally placed in Gemini, squaring Mars in the sign of Virgo. and both of them have neutral dignity there. So they're equally strong or equally weak, whichever you'd like. And then, as I said, they will come back together in a conjunction on January the 8th, 2026, and that's going to be in Capricorn, 18 degrees. So there's a cycle to pay attention to over the next 2 years. If that was too quick for you, you can go back and listen to the video after and take some notes. Let's talk about the sky before we start this all signs portion of the session. Here we have the cosmic lovers coming together, and I just want you to see them, okay? And before we begin all signs, let's just take a peekaboo at them. Here they are coming together. Mercury's still with them at the time. You can notice as they join at 7 degrees that the major aspects they are making is a waning coming out of a sextile to Athena, the goddess of victory and war and strategy. Maybe because around February 22nd as well, the asteroid America is squaring Israel's ascendant. We may see some big changes here in terms of war and peace stories, negotiations and contracts and agreements, and more victories or settlements coming through around February the 22nd. As well, Venus and Mars are having a conversation with good old Jupiter. Even though Jupiter and Uranus are in a square, Jupiter is a benefic in the house of Venus. To me, this is going to open up some positive developments in your Taurus part of your sky as this conjunction applies to Jupiter, and Venus is telling Jupiter what to do. She owns the real estate of Taurus. So Jupiter is going to take her orders to benefit you in the axis of your Aquarius and your square to your Taurus real estate or house. Finally, the general vibe is there's a flow to the nodes of fate, creating a big wedge here. So in a sense that the nodes of fate are always about destiny, and this is not a spectral but whole sign. There is still some kind of collaboration with the fates of and the destinies of reality in her temperament towards things. You'll notice that there is a moon across the way when this is perfecting. The moon is in Leo. There is something about the lunar quality of this event that matters to the story. The moon wants to become full, right? It's moving to a full moon, but it is not yet full. It is a waxing gibbous moon known as the helper lover moon by Stephen Forrest. So that part of the sky that is connected by opposition is sort of baking in an energy that says, hey, we've got something going on here with body, safety, home, nurturance, and Leo qualities that must be attended to in this story of the next 2 years. It's baking in like clay, the seed stories, lunar stories in Leo. And for the world, that can be world leaders who are women, okay? But seriously, Nikki Haley, anybody? So it's going to bring something to the forefront with women leaders in the next 2 years. There's no doubt, with Pluto across the way and power. But in our individual lives, it's more of our body safety, nurturant needs, or feminine needs connected to the Leo part of the sky being on the storyline for your attention, especially given that the moon opposite this particular conjunction is also part of a wedge with the nodes of fate. All right, and the only last thing I might mention, I'm going to just double check that I didn't miss a major asteroid that's connected to Mars and Venus, because it's the kind of thing I might miss, on the fly. No, Venus is not sitting with a major asteroid, but she is, by the way, sextiling Lilith, the asteroid Lilith, and that might be worth noting in greater detail. Lilith can bring in the feminist urge, the anti-patriarchal urge, the urge for female power and empowerment. With Lilith involved in this story, it's pretty clear that some female will rise to power politically or whatever in the next couple of years. Now, it could be King Charles abdicates. Of course he will. I already predicted that in 3 videos. And because of health problems, predicted well ahead of the time. But that would mean that, of course, Kate Middleton moves into a place of power, and she may actually be way more active and powerful as a royal queen or consort to the king than any other particular female royal has been. So we may be looking at it that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just stop this video. I'll be right back to do the all signs portion of this story. And if you're in the premiere, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I would really, really appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. And let's get into the all signs portion of this reading. Okay, guys, we're going to hit the all signs portion of our session today. Let's get rolling. I also wanted to mention a star called Baten Algiedi. I probably pronounced it Baten Algiedi. And you know what that star means? The belly of the goat. And I think that's pretty cool because the goat is the Capricornus goat. Actually, the star that's sitting on the conjunction, or the conjunction is in front of Baten Algiedi, the belly of the goat, is a part of the Capricorn constellation. That's because Capricorn over here this is a tropical Western zodiac. In the real-time sky, Mars and Venus are over here in Capricorn. You want to take that 7 degrees Aquarius and you want to go back 23 degrees to get the sidereal or real-time astronomical sky versus the astrological symbolic sky. But this belly of the sea goat reminds me of this renewal, rebirth energy of the Sabian symbol that we covered earlier: cell creation, renewal, regeneration, and rebirth, with that Sabian symbol covered in the very beginning of the story. And let me read that Sabian to you one more. So I think that there's a lot to say with the cosmic lovers speaking to rebirth, right? Regeneration, renewal, and rebirth. And we have the belly of the goat, the sea goat energy, right? It's not a goat on a mountain. And I think right away of the goat nurse that raised Zeus, who basically was Almea, the sea goat that raised, I think it was Zeus. My brain is off my Greek myths right now. But without going into too much like laborious detail, let me remind us that what the Aquarian 7 degrees Sabian symbol is: a child born of an eggshell. So what birthing of a child in the belly of a sea goat? Is it a project? Is it a new romance? Is it a new financial opportunity? Is it world peace? You know, the god of war and the goddess of love are trying to birth something in the belly of a goat. We can only hope. With Iran being a Leo rising ascendant, that is, of course, as we can note, this energy of the moon, the moon opposing this particular Leo moon opposing this particular new beginning in a love war story. And I pretty well could say with Pluto there and Mercury, we'll experience, especially in the fall with Mars, November, December, coming through the Leo part of the sky, and even more so between, in the first 4 months of 2020, first 5 months, 6 months of 2025, with a long retrograde in Leo. We're going to expect a lot of action with Iran and the world as it looks at its open enemies through the cosmic lovers as well. Sometimes I didn't mention this, but Mars, Venus together in a hard aspect can bring out sex scandals and sleazy, difficult stories about inappropriate sexual stories, power and abuse of power, like the Epstein stuff. However, honestly, in Aquarius, I kind of think the joke would be more like a sex robot is invented or something, or an AI that gets sexy with you in the chat, and tells you all kinds of sweet nothings. And then I am likely to think of it as anything else. And then I'm recording this today, as I said, for my Patreon community on February 12th. If you want to join my Patreon community, check it out below. I've got 2 free courses I'm gifting you that are already taught about relationship astrology and Chiron, the key to purpose. If you want to try me out, those gifts are available once you sign up. Okay, so let's look at the sky here and do your sign Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a sky for you where you're having the cosmic lovers yet again reset themselves as they did in 2022 in March, and this is a reset that lasts until 2026, as I already outlined in the very beginning of this reading. In fact, the next conjunction in 26 is in Capricorn in January. So here we have a 2-year love, money, and other Venus stories coming through your 11th house. Please go back to the beginning of the video, everybody, where I gave you the future dates of the critical turning points. But it does seem to me like a story, in my humble opinion, that's initiating you to really reflect or squarely look at what you want in your 11th house of great gains from your career. So ask yourself, did you experience some greater career gains, some kind of booming career gains, or some changes of the way you make money in your career starting in 2022? Aries, sun, moon, and rising. As an Aries, sun, and moon, that was the beginning of my YouTube channel really taking off. So that's just a perfect example of what I mean. And as well, did you also experience potentially a relationship that was born of a friendship emerging, somebody who was just a friend or acquaintance or someone you met in a work setting, blossoming into a romance? Or did you encounter the beginning of new friendships with larger groups of belonging, or just friendship circles and groups of people? Maybe one of these friendships may have been difficult and, combustive, but all said and done, new friendships, new ways to make great gains from your career, including finances. And you're also resetting your long range goals and plans here with what you love and desire and are willing to be passionate about as it comes to your work and career. And with this general flow to Chiron, the identity wound is supported to be completely healed, as well as your healing to your physical body if it's necessary, from a place of good spirit, and good things happen in the 11th house. I also would say that because this is a conjunction happening, again, as I said, February 22nd, is flowing to squaring Jupiter and Uranus, bringing a kind of shock and awe surprise in your earnings, but it still is a positive thing. When we get Jupiter involved, he was not involved in 2022. So unexpected financial, shocking and surprising, but positive and rapid moving, perhaps, escalation of your earnings and possessions and your resources in the next couple of years until 2026 January, as this synodic cycle unfolds in the sky for you. Reminding everybody again of the dates that I mentioned. Let me grab them for you. I think I have them on the back end of my sky. Hang on a sec while I grab the dates where you're going to look at the critical turning points in the next 2 years. Alrighty, it's just back to you, Aries, and I'm reminding you of dates. Everybody, I'll try to remind you all signs about what I'm trying to share with you, synodic cycle turning points. And so look to August of 2024 and December of 2024 and July of 2025 for these critical turning points in the long range story of what you're trying to reset in your 11th house, with a heads up, of course, that each one has got a different quality. And the most difficult of that one might be the reset of August 23rd, with Venus in her fall in Virgo, squaring Mars in Gemini. And for you, Aries, that can look like this August the 23rd, 2024. So give or take a week or two on either side. I guess it could look like something like you might have to deal up work and health matters. Venus in her fall in the 6th house, connected to what you're doing with your Mars in your travel and your online world. And so things to do with 3rd house and 6th house matters, work, online world, travel opportunities, and work are coming to a square as it relates to career and financial success in your career through ambitious patterns of action and enjoyment of what you're up to. And lastly, I don't know, with Venus up here, conjoined with Mars, Venus is the ruler of your earnings house where Jupiter is making you more bounteous. So that's wonderful. But she also flows to your marriage house. And that can indicate some of you may be coming into a stronger alignment of commitment over the next 2 years with a long-term existing love relationship. And Mars suggesting as well that you are going to focus a lot more on your own health and identity as it relates to significant business and love partners and your long-range finances as you reset a lot of the money stories or love stories in the house of friends and great gains from your career. Hey, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. This reset is happening of Venus and Mars, the cosmic lovers, on February 22nd at 6 degrees of Aquarius. And this is going to happen. Oh, it doesn't help that I went ahead by 2 days instead of 2 hours. Excuse moi. This is going to happen for you in your 10th house. Now, it does say here it's at 8 degrees, but it's actually at 6. So let's move back a day so you like looking at the right thing. And it doesn't even matter if we round it up to 7, but ideas here. February 22nd, so, it's active. So you're looking at this energy of a very strong connection here with these two particular planets, indicating you're resetting your career, or you're resetting your reputation. You're doing a reset, as you did in March of 2022, in terms of career and reputation resets and what you're trying to accomplish or achieve in that part of your reality. Sometimes with Mars, you might want to quit something, but Venus is trying to help you hold on to it. It's a love-hate, push-pull in some career ambition, objective, or career path. And you're trying to find a balance or a fusion of your aversion and your desire to be successful and enjoy your career. There's a new kind of power you're available to experience with Pluto. It's the first time in your life Pluto for power and wealth is involved, and you're really looking to create a greater level of financial wealth and power in your career over the next 2 years. This can also look like with this energy flowing to Chiron in your 12th house, that it can also open up opportunities for borderless income, foreign land revenue, or more career success as you heal any kind of wounds to do with addictions and self-undoing. And maybe that's a positive feedback loop, like you get sober, you focus on your career, you're happy with your career, you're more inclined to be sober or free of an addiction. This is also supporting you to really look at some opportunities that you can create. Jupiter in the house of you that are outside the box, innovative, inventive, and freedom-seeking luck that you want to establish over the next couple of years regarding career matters. And you might be willing to take some leaps of faith and some big, bold chances because you do feel this is baking in a lot of exciting career luck over the next 2 years. And with careers that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, that bring you pleasure. I think the opposition to the moon is fascinating. I mean, the moon may suggest that you might have to do your career success at the expense of something to do with your home and your nest and the comfort of your home and your nest. This certainly will be having you drive passionately to succeed in your career with greater power and wealth. But hey, the home nest is an oppositional moon. So consider that just as a matter of something to wonder about. You also could find that your mother or mother figures become less important to you as you're in your purposeful, passionate career reset button, and they may not even be as available to you because even though the moon is in the house of the mother, it's also in the dark night or the midnight of the sky or the dungeon of the chart here. I think also there is a vestal flame of devotion. You want to devote yourself to a career path that has earnings that are worth your perseverance, your dedication, and your devotion. I think with Venus ruling you, this is like an amazing reset in the highest part of your sky. It definitely speaks to some career success. And you might have experienced some degree of that career reputation success in 2022, March to 24, February. Don't forget, you're a homemaker, then your reputation is your mother or a parent. You're a student, your reputation is your grades in school. You are retired. What do people see you do in the world? 10th house is the meaning of your visible actions in the world and your ambitions and success achievements, what you want to accomplish. And I would also perhaps say that with Mars getting in the mix, he does rule your marriage house, but this is a square. And I wonder for some of you, Tauruses, if you're not going to experience a cutting and ending and severing of a major love relationship in the next 2 years. But at the same time, this could also indicate a new relationship forming through career and work and purpose directions in the next 2 years. I wonder if some of you back in 2022, March, add 2 years, ended up in some kind of office romance or some kind of trusty relationship with somebody in the workspace. Yet again, this is possible in the next couple of years, reminding you that the critical turning points in this narrative over 2 years are August of 24, December of 24, and July of 2025. A little bit more difficult in August 23rd of 24, with Venus in the sign of her fall in the house of sexuality and romance, squaring Mars in Gemini. There can be fights with a lover or somebody in your life around finances, or very difficult words regarding romantic love and sexuality coming through around August the 23rd. Let's do the next sign. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. So what we have, and it happened, don't forget, as I always say, Venus resetting with Mars, a new beginning, a new birth of some sort in your 9th house, March of 2022. Now it's back again, February 22nd of 24. This is a 2-year narrative. It lasts until January 26. What are you resetting to do with love, ambition, drive, passion, purpose, money? in the house of the father and father figures. Ninth house can mean that in the Indian astrology, in the house of book publishing, in the house of foreign lands and foreign shores, the place of foreigners, also court and legal matters. Perhaps even ninth house can represent third marriages or third long-term committed monogamous live-in relationships. I have a progressed Gemini sun. I'm hoping this is about my book publishing stories, but go back and see what was really germinating in your ninth house. Because for me, if I look back, that would have also been my new relationship with a foreigner that started up since then. So how are you experiencing a new reset here as well? It can be, because this is co-present with Pluto, one of the more powerful, deep energies. And if you want to reset yourself in spiritual faith and finding something that's passionate and also mystical and magical in a way, because Venus Mars makes me think of sacred dance or trance dance or whirling dervishes or chanting mantras and swaying your body. Some of you might be finding a new spiritual path of devotion, sacred flame of devotion with power, Pluto, transformation and renewal and rebirth. So a sacred devotional spiritual path emergent in the next couple of years. Also, possibly very good results coming through that book publishing house. If you're wanting to moon in the third, write something, indicating in this particular iteration the possibility of a writing project that is going to take off. I'm going to add the sun just to show you that the sun is important to all of this. Probably I should have added it earlier. It just wasn't showing for you guys. But the sun, right, in relative connection to the moon, this is a moon that's going to become full, right? It's not there yet. And this is a moon that will be full in a day and a half, meaning that it's really a waxing gibbous moon. I mentioned this in the beginning, which is the helper lover moon. So there's a quality of, wishing to be a helper or a lover, but it's all about that either writing projects, social media, online world. And it's now I know it's an opposition. I realize that, but it's like the moon is witnessing in her house of her joy, which is a writing online house, this potential reset in your ninth house of the word international, foreign lands, foreign shores, and all of that. Just for a very few of you, it's possible that this could lead to some sort of financial gain through a male or father figure in your life over the course of the 2 years that follow. We can see that this is a reset button that goes in a nice flow to Chiron in the 11th house of good spirit, allowing for some healing of your friendship circles, larger groups of belonging, maybe through new friendships that come through spiritual community or through foreign countries and foreign people. At the same time, you're experiencing something very lovely here, that Jupiter wants to bring you some abundance and some surprises in positive ways to do with foreign countries, foreign lands, revenue generated from foreign shores. We see a lot of 9-12, also unexpected opportunities to learn. Some of you may pursue a educational path that you're passionate about, that you truly desire and love, that can generate great wealth or power or satisfaction for you, especially with Mercury here. Foreign land travel, education and travel for education, all highlighted in the 2 years that follow, especially if it involves online world stuff, creative projects, teaching or writing. So Venus does rule, by the way, for you, your 5th house of creativity, the muse, inspiration, and in her position here, indication of grandchildren. For some of you, you're going to look at the birth of a grandchild in the 2 years that follows this conjunction. Gnarly turning point is a little bit difficult, August 23rd, 2024, with the first opening square of Venus to Mars. Venus will be in her fall in your house of home, property, and real estate, and it's square to Mars in the house of your identity. Obviously, it could be something to do with a home injury. Be careful not to injure yourself at home, August 23rd. But given that it's about a larger 9th house umbrella story, some foreign travel, foreign land stuff, or situations with book publishing or third marriages could cause some critical and challenging turning points to do with home, property, land, and real estate around August the 23rd, 2024, as you make some pivotal decisions around those matters. This also allies with an opposition on December 12th of 24 and another last quarter square, July 23rd of 2025. And then it's a wrap. You have completed this Aquarius reset narrative. I will go into more of those details when we get to the squares and oppositions. So that's why you should like, subscribe, and follow my channel. Don't forget the notification bell. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're in the premiere watching me live. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, you guys are looking at this reset button of a Venus-Mars conjunction in your 8th house of chunky money. Go back to 2022, March, add 2 years. What were you doing with money you share with a spouse, taxes, tax revenues, tax, credit card debts, mortgages, refinancing, stock investments, royalty or passive income, severance monies when you quit a job, or sign-on bonuses, chunks of money. Here you go. Here's a chunk, a commission, a sign-on bonus, chunk. So that money is being focused on yet again for 2 years until January 2026. Now, Mars, Pluto, not to worry you, but it can mean money coming through an inheritance or a separation in a marriage. Okay, so either of those are possible because of this thing. It could show up for some of you as like, it can look like divorce, asset separations, money, power, Pluto, wealth, sometimes the death of a spouse and money coming to you through that, or potentially maybe something to do with an inheritance from your family of origin, legacy wealth, mother and father figures, possible because Venus rules your 4th house. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of potential ways that money story emerges. Mars wants to fight about money and Venus wants to make peace. So watch for deeply conflictual things that you might have to work out closer to the February 22nd conjunction with some other person and you and money. The flow, though, to Chiron suggests a sort of vibe over the next couple of years of greater financial success and packing away some of those investments, 401k and retirement monies through a purposeful career path that you're aligned with, as well as the square to Jupiter in the 11th house where he is in his joy, allowing greater financial gain, increases of your reputation, and larger groups of influence and friendships emerging over the next 2 years, opening up a corridor to what Venus would ask Jupiter to do. So she might say, okay, well, as we're doing all this chunky money or occult mystery and magical investigations, let's make sure that you Cancers are prospering in your influence, your social networks, your friends, and your gains from your career. You want to devote yourself a little bit here to the deeper mysteries of life. The devotional flame in the 12th house says, hey, go under the surface. This is very moksha, spiritual liberation energy. It's not enough to just, play on the surface. However, some of you Cancers may have found hidden, secret, or toxic love affairs, secret love affairs from the conjunction of 2022, right? Hidden from you or your partner. But this, this is something else. This can look like a secret love affair with a little fatal attraction. So be careful you don't get yourself muddled in a fatal attraction, secret love affair over the next 2 years, or your partner gets involved in such a matter. Eek. You do see that the moon is coming from the house of earnings, opposing this reset in the house of your longer range chunky money. There can be a sense here that you're going to be emotionally feeling a little bit, although you flow to the work and you're loving your work, that you might feel a little bit emotionally opposed or drained maybe, or challenged. I'm not sure what it is, by this Leo moon focusing so much on the opposition to this conjunction. So it's a kind of a push-pull between earnings and living off savings or investments or retirement monies. And then we can also note that, there's critical turning points. The first quarter square of August 23rd, 2024 suggests with Venus in Virgo in her fall in your 3rd house, squaring Mars in Gemini, there can be a turning point this August 23rd about this reset in joint finances that involves some kind of revealing of secrets, things to do with siblings, things to do with hidden matters. Oh, by the way, this could be very good for bed pleasures in a secret relationship for you, some of you Cancers in the next 2 years. But that critical turning point could also involve travel opportunities that are to foreign places coming up. That is Venus in her fall, maybe not, maybe you have to take a trip. You're not sure you want to. August 23rd, 2024. And then December of 2024, we have a Venus opposite Mars. And then July of 2025, we have the last quarter square. So it's going to take those 3 stepping stones to finish this longer narrative. I'll be doing separate videos on each of those turning points. So definitely you'll want to follow my videos and like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the details of the first quarter opposition and last quarter square. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Venus resetted her buttons in your Mars Venus reset back in March 6th of 2022. And over the last 2 years, you've been trying to reset something to do with significant committed love stories. This is monogamous or committed or long-term relationships. And you're back again. I don't know how the last one went. This is the beginning for the crucial turning points in that, but this is another reset. So if you're single and you meet somebody under this influence, let's say, around February 22nd, give or take a few days or so on either side, you're baking in a lot of intensity into that relationship. Maybe hot, cold, love, hate, Pluto transformation. Won't be easy, but it won't be boring, right? But if you're already in a relationship, there could be a critical death point here as you get ready to die and be born again in that relationship, coming maybe to a close. So look for some turning points like that at the harder aspect of the conjunction this February 22nd. Yet this reset cycle is baking in a 2-year story that lasts until January of 2026. Venus, Mars, resetting your legal contracts, resetting your marriage agreements, resetting your business partnerships, resetting how you reach to your marketplace and audience and clients. So those others as well. I think that, because there's a generous flow to Chiron where that wound has been, there can be some healing around spiritual philosophy and faith, or around marriages that connect to foreign countries, or around things that may involve your wound around a father figure in relationship to how you choose your partners. And then you can see that this next 2-year cycle also squares Jupiter, but that's still lucky Jupiter in Venus's house with surprising Uranus. So some lucky surprising turns of events in the next 2 years to do with your work, especially given that the 7th house is where you sign a contract to take on a new job or career path, like accept the terms, right? So you could have some new new career opportunities that are quite exciting and lucky in the next couple of years because it's baking in this Jupiter energy at the start. And I like the flow to the flame of devotion up here. What do you want to devote yourself to when it comes to making money in a career path or being successful that requires a sacred duty rather than a drudgery? Or what kinds of friendships do you wish to devote yourself to, or circles of belonging? This is going to become important to you over the next couple of years. You may revise your friendship circles significantly, or your relationship to an elder sibling becomes quite devotional, or they're quite devoted to you. You might form a new level of closeness with an elder sibling. The moon in the house of you. Okay. So you're looking at you being this diva moon, basically, that is almost full, but not quite. And you're gazing at the house of the other. It's about self-nurture, self-tending, self-love, self-mothering, and it's against the energy of your marriage or significant love partner. It really says you're learning something like how to take care of yourself over the next 2 years, and in a way that you're healing not only your own body mind complex, but you're healing your bigger picture dharma, the use of your talents and gifts in the world, your own expression. And self-healing may also be through the healing of a father wound by the 9th house placement. And you're taking care of you at the expense of what? A Pluto Mars character. Be careful if you are a Leo. This can indicate you might get involved in a narcissistic, toxic, fatal, forbidden love attraction over the next 2 years. Eeks. Shouldn't laugh. They're pretty gnarly. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So we have this Venus Mars reset button in the work and health house. Now, you reset a button here, March of 2022, and it expires on February of 2024, February 22nd. What did you do that was a new beginning, a new direction with Mars and his joy in the house of work, or in your health matters, or to do with pets, or to do with rental properties and agreements? Go back to that March of 22 and add a couple of years and try to imagine what stories played out. Certainly, though, for some of you Virgos, this is an office romance, right? Because this is the cosmic lovers in the office or in the workplace. And some of you may have had to deal up a traction in a romantic way to somebody in your workspace, or vice versa, them to you. Certainly this is back again for your scrutiny, but now it's got the element of Pluto, which makes it more forbidden, more intense, and more toxic. If it's going to happen, it could be really, really challenging. However, there's also a wealth yoga here with Venus Pluto, indicating greater financial gain trying to occur with passionate drive and hard work, or just work. So something about your work life is going to be very lucrative for most of you Virgos over the next 2 years. You may Mars cut away from one earnings path to Venus find something more enjoyable, but it does look good in the long run for greater financial gain in the work story as you are in a vibe over the next 2 years of discovering a work path that you're devoted to, that requires perseverance and tending a sacred, dutiful flame, but like because you want to, because you're interested in it, because it's worthy of your devotion. So this is good for your work. It's good for your health as well. Okay, so Venus is going to ask you to eliminate with Mars what it is that's not good for your health. And she rules the house of what you put in your mouth. So a lot of Virgos are looking at new food styles or getting rid of addictions. The moon in the house of self-undoing and addictions is clearly saying it's time to go to battle against bad habits like, too much wine, too much cigarettes, too much vape, too much weed, too much whatever Haagen-Dazs that you should not be engaging in for your wellness. And so you'll be able to kick a bad habit or an addictive pattern or a self-undoing pattern over the couple of years with Venus and Mars engendering that support. I think that the flow to Chiron can indicate particularly positive results in increasing your long range monies, your chunky monies in an inheritance or with regards to shared monies with your partner. Possibly with Venus being, of course, the ruler of your ninth house where Jupiter is, there's some positive developments around academics and work. Maybe some of you might graduate from school or go back to school to have a professional education in the next 2 years. And if you do, it will go very, very well. Okay, thank you for listening, Virgos. Anything else I want to say? No, that's about it. Hey, Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising. Oh, Virgo, like I tell every sign, August 23rd, the first hard square between Venus and her fall in Virgo in your sign of you, squaring Mars and Gemini in your career space can indicate a time in which you are focused on tending to you, being more beautiful, loving yourself, but you have to put up some kind of put your dukes up about difficult circumstances in the work environment. Now, I did warn you about a toxic or difficult or fatal attraction in the workplace, so be careful for that. And you might be having to make a break around those matters or to make a change August 23rd. But then December of 24, and July of 25, we get the opposition and the square. I'll be doing separate videos on those so you can track this synodic cycle of love and money that Venus is up to. Certainly, Venus can bring you greater wealth in your career over the next 2 years as a ruler of your second house. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky suggests that you're going to have a new beginning in the house of sexual and romantic love and fertility and children. This is a mixed bag because Mars is miscarriages and abortions and Venus is conception. So as a Libra, be careful about a conception of a child, especially with a square from Uranus and Jupiter, that you're not particularly interested in following through on. Otherwise, this can be hot, sizzling, sexy intensity and deep intimacy in a sexual romantic relationship wanting to emerge maybe around February 22nd, but more importantly, beginning a new 2-year cycle. Yes, you had this conjunction here, Libras. Yes, you did back in March of 2022, because it's creativity, entrepreneurship, because it's children, because it's romance. It has many meanings. Some of you may have had difficulty and intense difficulties with your children. Some of you may have encountered sexual and romantic intensity and challenges or reset buttons. Some of you may have encountered some really powerful things to do with your entrepreneurial or creative direction as a result of the March of 2022 reset. But in February, 2 years later, February of 2024, until January of 26, you're doing the reset here again, which is really rare. And again, is this all those themes I just mentioned on redo with more intensity, more power, more passion, more intimacy, more radical transformation? Pluto. Now you could get a little more wealthy through your entrepreneurial endeavors or your creative projects. I do like that she flows to Chiron in the house of the marriage and in the house of the marriage partnerships. You're healing a chironic wound about trying to find business and love partners that match you. And this is supporting that healing over the next 2 years. At the same time, especially sexually match you. At the same time, you're going to end up with this Jupiter giving you more chunky money bounty in sudden, unexpected ways over the next couple of years. Some of that can be inheritances. Some of it can be shared resources with a partner, but This is money luck for stocks. This is stocks. This is speculation. This is gambling. This is chunky money. So you may have some profound wealth luck through lotteries, gaming, casinos, speculation, games of chance, but also inheritances, stocks that take off, better luck in having money make money. Those are big, broad themes for you. And with Mars being the ruler of your earnings house, there's also lots of energy being established around increasing or fortifying your earnings in a way that brings you more joy. The more joyful means of earning money is probably the code here. Because you want to devote yourself, however, 5-9, to a dharmic path of meaning, you may want to look at ways to educate yourself, to use your talents and gifts in the world in a way that really supports a calling or a deeper purpose in life, knowing you're on path. I think the moon in an opposition, right, is definitely some challenges about the comfort or the emotional satisfaction you are experiencing in groups of belonging, but it can also indicate some kind of home regarding friends. And that maybe a couple of you Libras may find a group home or a friend or your home with groups of friends and experience a lot of fun and passion, but there's push-pull. Maybe you get a group home with friends if you're a young person, and there's tension with your lover in that group of people. I mean, it's so many ways it could play out. This moon in your 11th house is putting an emotional focus or a home-based focus regarding friendships and groups of people. And yet you've got this intensity in the more quiet, private 5th house place. The moon does rule your career house. So some of this can be also the focus on your work and your career and the great gains you're trying to achieve in the next couple of years, being at odds with how much fun, play, and pleasure you wish to have. I want you to go to August the 23rd, 2024, when Venus in her fall will square Mars, the opening square for this 2-year story that lasts until January of 26. Venus in her Virgo fall is going to be in your 12th house, squaring Mars and Gemini. There's definitely some tension around in your life, August 23rd, with foreign places, foreign shores, foreign lands, or a crisis of spiritual faith. But it all goes back down to what you want to accomplish in the next 2 years in your creativity, romance, fertility, children, and entrepreneurial business. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. There's a new beginning, a reset of the synodic cycle of Venus and Mars in your 4th house. How are you going to reset yourself here in terms of homeland, property, real estate, and legacy wealth? Maybe you try to reset, or the universe wanted to give you a move, Mars, a change of home, Mars, Venus, lucrative money for that home, maybe selling it. And in March of 2022, that attempt was made in the 2 years that follow, but nothing happened. With Pluto, Venus here, that can turn around and give you the power and wealth to accomplish, especially with Mercury, a property sale or a property purchase. With the Vestal flame of devotion, the 8th house of inheritance money, money from family of origin. And with Pluto here, some of you may inherit some money that allows you to generate enough money for a property sale or purchase, in this case, purchase. Now, let me just sit with that. Your relationship is significant here. Jupiter, significant love and business partners are all in the highlight. There's some mutual reinforcement of goodness. Venus wants this marriage and relationship house to support the positive financial and good reset button that Pluto can bring in the bottom of the chart regarding land, home, property, real estate, and domestic private life stories. You might want to beautify your home, and you have construction to do on your home and renovate your home in the next 2 years, for example. If you were single, you could meet somebody close to home, but wow, that's a transformative Pluto relationship that from home and homeland or close to home environments or from the place of your childhood that can be quite transformative. So single Scorpios look to home and homeland or things to do with your home, basic things near your home for a place of meeting someone new. You're flowing to the work. Some of you may want to work from home in the next 2 years or heal a health and work story, or even get a very healing pet coming to you in the next 2 years. And with Pluto Mars, it's probably a freaking Great Dane or like a, what do you call those, Mastiff or something? I almost got a Mastiff a few years ago. The moon, you're like, you're emotionally focused. You're emotionally focused, like your home is your workplace. You're doing a lot of work, Scorpios, and it's opposing this excitement of the home. So you have to watch out here. This opposition between the moon and Venus, Mars, Pluto, even Mercury suggests that you're going to have a lot of almost full moon light in your 10th house, and you're wanting to be like this helper and be really well in your workspace and your reputation and have a luminosity up there, being successful and positively famous or well received by your public and your audience and your marketplace. But don't forget, you have a lot of what Venus wants you to accomplish is in the dark, in the home, in the privacy of your life. And you'll have to work on your home life balance in the next 2 years, probably, especially as it applies to romantic love and enjoyment of your romantic life at home and pleasures at home. The first opening square, August the 23rd of 2024, will have Venus in Virgo, where she's in her fall, house of friendships, elder siblings, things to do with your great gains from your career, in a difficult conversation with Mars in your 8th house of chunky money. That can look like some kind of issue to do with career money versus savings or investments, or some kind of challenge to do with monies you share with another person, like a spouse or a significant other, and debts like credit cards or mortgages coming through as a crisis point, August 23rd, relative to, the idea that your great gains are taking a fall. So maybe you're having a downturn of income for some reason in your work, August 23rd. As Venus will square Mars here. That's a temporary story, but then in December of 24, Venus will oppose Mars on the Aquarius Pluto axis again, home versus career tension. And then July 23rd of 25, Venus in Gemini opposite Mars in Virgo. And that's also intense because Mars in Virgo. Did I say Venus in Gemini? Oh, yeah, it's a square. Venus in Gemini, again, chunky money shared with a partner, squaring Mars over here. It's a similar story of the original problem of August of 24. It's back again. So I'm going to break that down in a lot more detail in each of those videos as these aspects come into being. So if you want to get that content to understand the long cycle that we're talking about over 2 years, please like and subscribe and think of hitting my notification bell so you don't miss any of my 30 to 40 videos each month. Okay, so moving into the Sagittarius sun, moon, and rising. Okay, you might want to go back to March 6th of 2022 when Venus and Mars reset at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Here we go again at 6 degrees actually of Aquarius on the 22nd. These two are resetting your third house narratives. Well, that's siblings, that's travel, that's difficulty, by the way, with siblings could have emerged since 2022, especially younger, but siblings in general, cousins, nieces, and nephews, extended family, reset button. Journeys, travel, writing projects. So I know a Sag who got her writing project finished, her book, during Venus, the goddess of the arts, Mars, the drive and the will to complete something during that synodic cycle as a Sag rising. So wondering, or Sag sun, whichever it was, and rising at the sun, but it doesn't matter. It all matters. Where had you gone through this very focused area of concern or energy in your third house? It's also education. You might have taught courses or studied courses during that time. It's back again. It's literally a 4-year cycle because it has a 2-year. So February 22nd this year to February of 2026, you're back in the saddle here. But now you got Pluto adding weight, power, and intensity to this narrative. And at the same time, because Mars loves to travel in this house, he can represent that. And Venus likes pleasure, pleasurable travel, pleasurable journeys can be a big narrative for what you were seeing in this part of your sky. So I know of somebody who's a Sag who actually was in a travel situation abroad and had a need to come home because of the stress of the travel. So sometimes it's kind of a push-pull reset button, right? Like, yes, I'm traveling, I'm enjoying it. And also I'm stressed out because it's a hard aspect conjunction. We want to note that, first I'll have to go back by a day. I'm losing the main picture here, so give me a minute. We have to note here that when you see this flow to Chiron in the 5th house, that there can be romantic opportunities for single Sagittarius through travel in the next 2 years, healing your romantic and sexual stuff. More creative writing projects and communication projects can really be healed and take off in the next 2 years. You might note that you have work and health opportunities emerging, especially Jupiter here can signify some great new opportunities for work and pets and tenancy and rentals, but mostly work to me here, potentially health improvements as well. But with Venus Mars conjunct in the third, those house improvements are about your daily life, your daily fishbowl you swim in, what you do, your routines can be generating new and better health outcomes for you in the next couple of years. Finally, the flow to the devotional flame. This is one for if you're a single Sag, you could meet your person in the next 2 years, right? Or if you're already with somebody, you're going to devote yourself more to them in a sacred flame. However, there's another side to the devotional flame here. It's like the single celibate, sexless priestess. And it may be Mars, Venus, cut, snip, sever to heal a chironic wound in the marriage house. Some of you may remove yourself from a long-term committed love relationship in the next couple of years. Okay, that just could literally mean that. With the moon in opposition from the ninth house, foreigners, foreign places, legal matters, courts, book publishing is on your agenda. You're trying to get almost full moon light up there. You're wanting to get something to happen, but it's an oppositional energy creating tension, indeed a kind of a T-square. And so you may find yourself looking at the idea here that your focus for emotional satisfaction and well-being in those ninth house matters has to take a back seat in the next couple of years to things that are more intimate in the bottom of your sky, like your local environment, your neighbors, your connection to siblings, your desire to focus on writing projects. And maybe even moving away from a more spiritual religious tradition, like a tradition, like, a church, into more of a mystical or connection to the sacred in the everyday. August 23rd is the first square from a fallen Venus in Virgo to Mars in Gemini, right here, this axis. So there's a bit of a fall or disappointment coming through August 23rd in a career or reputation matter, and it creates tension with Mars in the house of your business partners, audience, clients, marketplace, and significant love relationship. That same square energy will be very active in July of 25, back again. On December of 2024, Venus will oppose Mars as well in that synodic cycle of the critical turning points here. And that will be Venus in Aquarius here opposing Mars here. There can be a legal break from a significant long-term love relationship, such as a divorce with that. There could also be a big change regarding connections to foreigners and foreign lands, or the ending of a book project or writing project, or some difficulty in those areas. Again, the turning points are August of 24, December of 24, and July of 25. Let's go into the next sign. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a story for you of having the synodic cycle of these planets activating in your second house of money. Please go back to March of 2022. And Mars ending, cutting, severing, Venus, money and possessions, Mars spending, Venus wanting beautiful things. What started to kick in here? Mars is a self-starter, entrepreneurial energy, consulting energy, freelancing energy here. And Venus is trying to derive money from all of that. So this all started in March of 2022, where this drive or reset around money and earnings was becoming activated for you. And in that window of time, it took like 2 years, February 22, to come to full circle with critical turning points, which I described earlier in the video. And now you're going to do that again, but with Pluto here, it's really about wealth and power. You're serious about this. This is round 2, and I'm really serious about wealth and power. Powerful vocation, speech and power, powerful beginnings and endings. Like you can cut and weigh all food shit, addictions, drinks, alcohol, bad food styles. You like really can reset your dietary style. Or this is like classic massive facial procedures to change the way you look, right? And transform your appearance in the next couple of years. So this reset button has got Mercury here, who's in charge of contracts, negotiation, commerce, and all of that. So it really has a lot of work and money energy this time around. With the square to Jupiter, you're getting some lucky opportunities, especially if you're entrepreneurial or a creative type person, or some lucky opportunities coming to your children financially as well. Certainly, this also looks like the possibility with Mercury here, ruler of your grandchildren, and square to Jupiter, the god of fertility. Unexpectedly, you're going to be a grandparent if you're a Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising over the next couple of years. The healing flow to Chiron, you're trying to heal a wound of belonging. Where do I live? Where do I belong? What's my place of belonging? And you could heal that wound to the mother as well. And it will allow you to be more productive and successful and wealthy in your earning strategy. The moon is in opposition. It's time not to focus on emotional satisfaction or satiation through relying on your spouse's money, money from investments, money from stock markets, money from retirement plans. That moon finds emotional satisfaction there, but Venus, Mars oppose that. They want to get the hustle on to get you rich. So you're getting your hustle on to start making some money is what that's saying to many Capricorns, rather than relying on other forms of money that are not earned by you. Earned money is becoming a thing. And with the energy of the devotional flame, only if it's devotionally satisfying that you persevere and dedicate yourself to a livelihood and job structure. With Venus ruling your 10th house of career, it even says more. Yes, a lot of Capricorns are looking at a shift in earnings, career, and job over the next 2 years. August 23rd, we have a first critical square in that story as you find Venus in Virgo in a sign of her difficult placement fall in the house of foreign lands, visas, and third marriages, courts and legal matters, and academic settings, squaring Mars in Gemini in your house of work. There may be work things that are taking you away to foreign countries and maybe away from some kind of third marriage environment, taking you away August 23rd from better health outcomes even. Mars can inflame your health, although he is in his joy this August, and you may have some inflammation or injuries into your health. But with Venus in her fall in the 9th house, these may also be deeper matters to do with some kind of cross current between what you want to experience in your spiritual philosophy and faith being at odds with what you need to do for Mars in the 6th house. Work hard, be passionate, be focused, maybe travel from work. Okay. Or maybe some legal matters to do with foreign countries or judges connecting to work matters are really pressuring you August 23rd. Also, legal matters as it applies to debts being very focal for you as well, August 23rd. Then December 12th, there's an opposition from Venus in Aquarius to Mars and Leo. That axis of your chart is hugely activated. That's totally taking the whole cue of that moon. Stop relying on those longer range monies, start making your earnings. And that is up for a huge amount of renewal. Mars up here can cut away your allowances, right? I'm living off my inheritance, my trust fund, my retirement money. Mars is cutting it off, and you're pushed to make money here, December 12th, 2024, and July the 23rd, 2025. Venus in Gemini, Mars in Virgo. The same axis is activated, right? These synodic cycles are intense and they repeat and rinse, repeat. This time Venus is not in detriment, so it may resolve in July 23, 2025, what was going on in August of 2024 in a very easier, positive way. Especially if you are traveling abroad or living abroad or moving abroad or fighting for legal matters on your behalf, July 23rd, 2025, they should be going okay. All right, so thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can definitely get more details by subscribing when I do the synodic cycles for each of these in the individual videos, the three videos that will happen over the next 2 years on this subject. February the 22nd, Aquarius, I'm one of you. We get this cycle, first in a lifetime, Pluto co-present with Venus conjunct Mars in the house of us. Now, I want you to remind you, you had this before, March 6, 2022, but without Pluto support. And that means that you're familiar with this energy. What did you reset in your love stories? Because it looks at the house of commitment and romance. What did you reset in your own self in terms of your health and your identity to be more lovable and to be more strong and forceful, committed and directional and decisive and action taking? Okay, all of that. Now, you go back and listen to the beginning when I talked about my example of the last synodic cycle through here, if you want to get a gist of what that could have been about. But here we go, because I was doing me as an example as an Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising. In my case, I'm rising. And as this is happening this time around, we'll note that we're having a sacred flame of devotion that wants to really participate. And so you may want to look at this as a reset of love and money stories to do with what you wish to be devoted to in your fifth house of creativity, entrepreneurship, creative projects, enthusiasm, fun, play, pleasure, your children. The vessel flame in the fifth house can mean celibacy. And so some of you may engage in a period of celibacy, February the 22nd, 2023, but also the vessel flame can be the temple prostitute. And so you may also go into a kind of sacred sexuality mode, February 22nd of 24, add 2 years with deep intimacy and transformation and Venus, Pluto available to you as a being on this planet. You might notice as well that you have a square to Jupiter, and that can be unexpected, surprising, but positive developments regarding land, home, property, and real estate. Even, some wealth or some legacy wealth or some inheritance money coming to you as a result of that in the next couple of years. Surprise, aren't you happy? Especially with Mercury, a co-present, and he owns your house of chunky money and inheritances. Mars rules the house of father. So father figures can also be engendering a greater bit of wealth for you by giving you money, by grandpa, mom, dad, grandpa, or even if you got see for you, the sun is the natural ruler of your seventh house. So solar figures are male or authoritative. So even a marriage partner giving you some money or allowing for greater wealth in your life because of their success. You want to heal a chironic wound, it's easy. You're going to heal the wound with a younger sibling, travel, writing, online world, skills-based education. You may re-educate yourself. A lot of Aquariuses with Chiron here may end up in the 2 years that follow. Venus, the arts, creativity, Mars, passion, Pluto, power, Mercury, writing, or just ideas and education. I think this is going to lead a lot of Aquariuses to study something. I keep saying I want to go back and do film school or get my Master's of Fine Arts because I was accepted at a really powerful school in Fairfax, Virginia. Now my brain will not remember. Was it? Oh my God. What was that school? Is it George Mason? But anyways, I was accepted at a very prestigious fine arts school with a scholarship, and I didn't take it because I had a young child at home, and my narcissistic at the time husband wouldn't support me to have some childcare so I could drive there and back from DC to Virginia. And so that didn't happen. Anyway, bummer. And I cannot believe I don't remember that school, but I probably will, for example, giving you me as an example, get enrolled in some kind of educational program that's giving me a skills-based education that heals a chironic wound around that matter. This is a house of writing. If I have a chironic wound here, is I haven't written anything meaningful since 2019 when Chiron entered there. Where have you been wounded in your third house meanings, including younger sibling or sibling relationships? That's coming to a healing. And I think Venus, Mars, Pluto are contributing to that in the next 2 years. The moon in the seventh house, focus on emotional satisfaction, focused on other people, and it's no longer viable. Emotional satisfaction focused on your public, client, audience, and business partnerships, it's no longer viable. A lot of focus has to be on self-love, self-determination, new directions, inner power, and the way you wish to think up new ideas based on that. Venus does rule the house of book publishing, of course, and some of you may be working on a writing project to publish a book in the next 2 years. Yes, The Wine Lover's Middle Way, the Deep Code Astrology book. I got another one on Mars, and also a fiction I'm writing. So yes, tell me how many Aquariuses wish to do that. And this moon's almost full, but not quite. A full moon in the seventh house can look like marriage or wedding stories, but it's not quite here. So possibly there's a yearning for a full committed marriage relationship thing, but it doesn't quite pan out in the next 2 years for whatever reason. I mean, Venus does rule visas and passports, foreign lands, foreigners, and travel. Who knows? I would like you to consider lastly, with that Jupiter, you're very lucky when it comes to the fourth house matters, right? Homeland, property, and real estate. This could be an opportunity to purchase a property in the next 2 years because of Mercury embedded with the goddess of money, owner of the house of mortgages. So I think a lot of you Aquarius, if you wanted to buy a house, will probably have the means to do so in the next couple of years. You're trying to become a trillionaire. This is a trillionaire yoga in the chart house of you. I mean, of course, not every Aquarius is going to become a trillionaire. It means that you want to level up to a new level of authentic power, but that it also includes authentic wealth or powerful wealth. Okay. August 23rd, 24, Venus in her fall, squaring Mars in Venus and Virgo squaring Mars. This is the Virgo, Mars in Gemini, Mars in Gemini, Mars in Gemini. Oh, this is going to be lovers, romance, and children, creative projects, entrepreneurial endeavors. Mars is here in the fickle place of Gemini, and he is sociable though, and he is squaring Venus as she moves through Virgo, your house of chunky money. And there's a possible tension with a child over money, but also a romantic partner over money, or secrets or romantic secrets. Who knows what that is? August the 23rd. Things are a little bit difficult because, of course, we have to then move into the opposition December 12th with Venus and Aquarius, Mars in Leo. That's a real tension here, guys. With Venus here and Mars over here, the cosmic lovers are battling. You may have a falling out with a client. You may have a falling out with a romantic committed love partner, or you may be separated from them. December 12th, maybe travel. 2024, but it's a critical turning point. And the last turning point, July of 2025, is again, this is Venus now in the sign of Gemini here in the romance house, good for fun, play, pleasure, and better sex, and good times and social times and great creativity and money luck. And she is in a last quarter square to Mars in the sign of Virgo, chunky money. However, that last quarter square with Mars and Virgo could look like some unexpected financial abundance through money luck means, but also some tension with a child or lover around finances and shared resources. So you've got to deal with this kind of energy on those quarter and opposition squares and oppositions in the next 2 years. So that's why you should subscribe to my channel and figure out each step of the way the details of how to handle that. Finally, we have Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign in your sky. The cosmic lovers are in your spiritually awakening energies and your bed pleasures. Now, certainly February 22nd can bring a lovely, deep, intimate, profoundly transformative sexual encounter, right? Sure, why not? With a lot of deep communication. On the other hand, you could have a spiritual awakening through sex. On the other hand, you might have an illumination to do with your income and revenue from foreign lands and foreign shores. You can get more powerfully wealthy through money you accrue from foreign people, foreign lands, and foreign shores over the next 2 years. And at the same time, this is a place where potentially you're going to bump into some problems and around addiction, self-undoing, and self-defeating habits. And this is your turn to finally ditch those addictions and self-defeating patterns and habits because of Pluto transformation, Mars cutting things off, Venus goodness. Okay. New 2-year story for you. Now, you had this story start March 22nd, 2022, but Pluto wasn't there. So it was a lightweight version of what I've just described. At the same time, payment processor, Stripe, and all of that belong to the 12th house. What was happening March of 22 to now through those matters, because now you're getting more wealthy or powerful in the same zone that may have also been active for 2 years before this. Jupiter in your house of siblings, Jupiter in your house of travel and trips, Jupiter in your house of skills-based learning, or Jupiter in your house of neighbors and neighborhood, or writing projects is very active, the online world. This indicates great prosperity in the online world, social media platforms, websites, through payment processors and borderless income for a lot of Pisces who do that kind of thing. But on the other hand, maybe just prospering through travel to foreign countries, or from backroom deals and negotiations involving opportunities for new prosperity or work in your local neighborhood. You also have Chiron. You're healing an earnings wound since 2019. This reset button allows you to do that. Maybe some of this is your own unconscious karmic patterns, ancestral line junk, or just the way you undo yourself, and your earnings strategies and movements are being healed here by the Venus-Pluto-Mars conjunction in the next 2 years. Also, any healing you need to do to your voice, your throat, your face is available to you over the next 2 years. especially if it involves going off through surgery, Mars, cosmetic, Venus, and hiding out for a few weeks while you heal. And you want to devote yourself to something or someone in the home. You want to tend a sacred hearth flame in the home. You want to find the beauty of the sacred duty and devotion in the home as it applies to earnings and vocation and job. So you will maybe creating a temple or a sanctuary, a place of work in the home, especially with the Vestal flame flowing to the moon in the house of the office. As well, you might be cooking at home and tending your health more and getting rid of the bad habits that undo you in the next 2 years. Venus rules a house of mortgages and chunky money, and you may also be able to acquire or accrue a brand new home or sell a home very effectively and do financially well in the next couple of years. The energy here of the first quarter square, right, that I mentioned to everybody is August the 23rd, where Venus in Virgo in her fall, in the house of your legal contracts, negotiations with others for deals, your marriage partner and business partner, is going to have a difficult square conversation to Mars in the sign of Gemini. And this is going to indicate there's going to be conflict between you and a significant other regarding matters of home and land, property, and real estate around August 23rd, 2024. But then this kind of energy continues into December of 24, December 12th, with Venus in Aquarius back here, opposing the moon here. And that moon opposing Mars. But this is where the moon is. There's some call here to come to terms with self-undoing addictions, debts, and health matters that result in difficult circumstances for your wellness. Maybe even mother wounds that undo you, especially regarding your work or your health. And so you're dealing that up in the next 2 years, especially going into ancestral stories and uncovering dirt beneath the surface about your mom, dad, ancestors, etc. December 12th, though, Mars is here in his joy, but he cuts ends and severs things. So critical turning points around addictions and self-undoing in December of 24, and also maybe a leave taking of some kind of job that is not useful to you or desirous for you, or a sudden opportunity to make a change in a rental situation, December 12th of 2024. And then July 23rd, 2025, that's when this last quarter square of Venus and Gemini, which is neutrally placed, it's not too bad. It's Venus making your home beautiful, love in the home, romance in the home, joy in the home, a female visiting the home, July of 25, but in a square to Mars in Virgo. So you could just be literally, I don't know, some conflict with a significant legal matter or partner about beautifying the home, about love in the home, about a beautiful home. Okay, a lot of stuff going back to what is the sacred flame you're tending in the home? What is the devotional flame you wish to tend? All right, I hope that's useful. If you do subscribe to my channel, then I will be talking about the August 24, the December 24, and the July of 25 first quarter square opposition and last quarter square individually, and you'll be able to use that material in more depth to see what's going on in your story. Thanks for listening, guys. It's been a long day. I actually went to a party last night at my girlfriend's place, and we all drank wine, and I feel like the wine lover's middle way got tossed out the window. So I'm working it. Let me know. I'll let you know how this all goes. It wasn't that much wine, but after not drinking much wine, it's like any wine felt like a lot of wine. Anyway, I hope this was useful for you. Enjoy the ride of the Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius, and check my description box for classes, courses, Sky Reader starting in April or May. I haven't decided yet. I may be traveling to Portugal in the end of April with my daughter to visit her stepdad. And if I do that, then I will start my class in May so that I don't have any interruptions in the schedule. All right, but nonetheless, there's a wait list, so get on it so you'll know when it starts, early bird notice and discounts for my 6-week Sky Reader. Time, be your own astrologer, time your best life. Thanks. Ciao.